Hey, what's up? It's Why, and you're watching another episode of Why Stop Now. I'm your host, Wiley Mitchell, and with me today is Skyler Scott. Skyler, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm so excited to have you on, talk to you a little bit, get to know you a little bit better. So to start off, you moved around a lot as a child. Tell me a little bit about the different places that you've moved to.
So I was originally born here in Colorado in Wheat Ridge, and then shortly after a year I was born, we moved to Denison, Texas, which is in the middle of nowhere. And then from Denison, Texas in 2008-9, we moved to Germany. And then 2012, we moved to San Marcos, Texas. And then we lived there for about half a year. And then me and my mom moved over to where my dad was, which was in Allen, Texas. And then from Allen, Texas, we moved to Littleton in 2018. And then I moved here to Grand Junction for college.
That is crazy to hear. I'm always shocked when I hear that people have moved from America internationally and then moved back. I know you mentioned you were kind of young in that time period, but do you remember that time of your life?
I definitely do. I had my 6th birthday there and my 9th birthday, so I was still really young, but I do have a decent amount of memories.
Right. What was it like going to school there?
Bit of a culture shock. I went to an international school, so there were kids from all sorts of places. We had kids from Iran, we had kids from Azerbaijan, also kids from America, but it was all these kids looked so different than me and talked a lot of different languages, but it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So was it mostly an English-speaking school, or did you have to become fluent in German to be able to go to school there?
So it was a predominantly English school, and all the classes were taught in English, but I had special German classes that I would take just to help with my fluency since I lived there.
Have you retained any of that? Can you remember any German, or is it kind of all gone?
It's definitely all gone. Neither of my parents could speak German, so when we moved back to the States, I lost all the language, unfortunately.
So of all of the different locations it sounds like you've moved to, do you have a favorite place?
I think my most happiest years was when I was in Texas, honestly. I just enjoy the weather.
Yeah, that's
mainly.
A big one.
I enjoy the heat. Germany was cold. Colorado's cold. But I just think my happiest years were in Texas. Just, I guess, my time, the age that I was in that time frame, too.
And you always talk about the ranch that you had there.
Yes.
Tell me about, your brightest memory from that time period.
So it was a beautiful ranch. We had an acre of land, and it was this beautiful blue ranch-style home that had a wraparound porch. But just being a little feral kid in the deciduous forest, essentially, being able to run around and pick up bugs and frogs and make mud pies in my backyard, truly, the world was my oyster.
That is so fun. So your most recent move has been to Grand Junction, Colorado to attend school at Colorado Mesa University. What made you choose here?
I'm going to be so honest with you. Colorado Mesa was the only school that I toured, so it was kind of my only option. Default. But I like the desert. Like I said, I like the heat to be warm, so it's a little bit warmer here, so that was also a factor.
And now you've been going to school here, you're a sophomore.
Yes.
What's your major?
I am a secondary education Spanish major.
So what made you want to become a Spanish teacher?
All of my teachers in high school, I really enjoyed their classes, and I loved how they made me feel, because it was the one class that I didn't feel like I was the weird kid, and it was just Spanish class, and everyone got along with each other, and that's an environment that I would like to recreate for future students.
That is so special. I love to hear when people take something that they enjoyed and pass it on for generations to go. I think that's super cool.
Thanks.
What Spanish class are you in now?
Right now I am in 304.
That is crazy. That's a higher Spanish class than I will ever take in English class. So advanced. One thing with that class is soon you'll be doing a Spanish language night skit.
Yes.
Right? Tell me a little bit about that.
So Spanish language night is when the upper division classes put on a skit for the lower division classes, as you know. And for my group, we will be doing Chisme en la Peluquería, which is gossip in the hair salon.
Ooh.
So we're just going to do a little just dramatic skit about a friend of a friend told a friend this story and just how it gets twisted and whatnot.
That is so fun. I love that. So soon, well, I said that wrong, sorry. I want to try a game with you.
Okay.
How fluent do you feel that you are in Spanish?
To people that don't speak Spanish, they would probably consider me fluent, but to native speakers, I probably talk at an elementary level. But I do have my certificate of biliteracy from high school.
That is super cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What, did you have to take a certain test to get that?
There's like a test called the Apple test that you take for Colorado, but some schools like CMU, they accept a 3 or higher on the AP score to be considered bilingual.
That's cool.
So I did both of those.
So in my Spanish 112 class, like I said, obviously you're quite surpassed that. We had to do a Trabalenguas or a tongue twister thing the other day. And since you and I didn't get to do a segment for this episode, I kind of want to test you on your Trabalenguas skills.
Okay.
Read off number 1 for me.
Poquito a poquito, Paquito empaca poquitas copitas en pocos paquetes.
That is so crazy how good that sounds. Ready? Let me try it. Poquito a poquito, Paquito empaca poquitas copitas en pocos paquetes?
Paquetes, yeah.
A little closer? Okay, try number 2.
Un tubo tiró un tubo y otro tubo le detuvo. Hay tubos que tienen tubos, pero este tubo no tuvo tubo.
I'm not going to try that one, but that is so cool. Okay.
Number 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
Estaba en el bosque Francisco buscando a un visco vasco tan brusco que al verlo le dijo un chusco, busco el vasco visco brusco.
I understand why you have the certificate of bilingual. Like, that is super cool that you're able to do that.
Thanks.
What one was the hardest one for you to just do?
Honestly, number 3. Just all the brr noises. Yeah, that one was definitely the hardest.
Like, for me, I have a hard enough time with the English tongue twisters. I think you did like a really good job with those ones.
Thank you.
So, moving on, thank you for doing that little game with me. That was fun. But moving on, soon you're going to go to Spain to travel abroad, and I'm super excited to hear all about that. But what made you want to do that?
Honestly, I never thought this opportunity would come so easily. I didn't realize we had a program here with the school. But one thing that really drew me towards it was that it was over the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is like studying abroad something that you've always been interested in? Because you make it sound like at first maybe you weren't like fully convinced that you would be able to do it, so it wasn't a possibility. But has it always been something that you've been interested in?
Definitely, since like I lived in Germany, I definitely wanted to go back there or like just travel in general at an older age so I could really appreciate the culture that I'm experiencing and just the lifestyle and whatnot.
Have you been out of the country since you went to Germany?
Since I've been to Germany, no. But while I was there, I did a lot of traveling.
How many different continents do you think you've been to?
Continents?
Or countries? Is that
countries? Germany, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Netherlands, Egypt, America.
That's pretty cool. I've been to America.
That's like all I can think of right now, but I did a lot of traveling while I was over there.
That's awesome.
Very grateful for that. Very privileged.
So when you go to Spain, what part of Spain will you go to? Do you know?
We're going to be in Cordoba, which is kind of like southwest area of it.
Okay.
It's like a 45-minute drive bus ride from Madrid.
Okay.
Like south of Madrid.
Awesome. And what type of classes will you take while you're there?
So they offer 6 classes at all different levels of Spanish, which is really cool. So I qualify for a higher level grammar class, like 324, I believe is what it is. And then I will be taking a 400 level history class completely in Spanish. So I'm a little bit nervous about that.
That is super cool. So what type of things have you been doing to like prepare for that trip?
Well, aside from like working a lot to try to pinch my pennies to afford it, just trying to actually pay attention in Spanish class, because my Spanish class at this 300 level is all in Spanish. So trying to switch on my Spanish brain from my English brain and making sure I'm actually paying attention to what the professor is saying and understanding it, not just listening. But practicing outside of class too is something that I should be doing. But yeah.
And next semester, you'll kind of like get a little bit more prepared, right? Because you're going to be taking 3 Spanish classes.
Yes.
Do you think that that'll be like a huge advantage to help like put that Spanish brain on a little more full time before you go to Spain?
100%, especially since when I'm going to be in Spain, it's all Spanish because it's Spain. But taking those 3 classes and spending majority of my day in Spanish, I really do think that's going to help. As much as I'm nervous for it, I'm actually really excited
Good.
as well.
How long are you going to be gone for?
It's from the end of May to the end of June, so it's about 1 month.
Right on.
Nice, yeah.
It sounds like there's going to be a lot packed in there, so that'll be really good, and your bilingual certificate will definitely help.
So true.
So I think that's kind of all I have for you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Oh, I'm not quite done yet. What's the greatest challenge that you've had to overcome in your Spanish-speaking career so far?
In my Spanish-speaking career,
Whether it be Spanish classes, maybe that's an easier way to say it, like in your quests that you've been on.
so going back to taking 3 classes, last semester I was taking 2 classes, just
Okay.
2 classes concurrently, and that was hard. So coming up this next semester, taking 3 classes is definitely going to be a challenge. But like I said, it's going to help me a lot, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. What advice would you give to somebody who might be struggling with that overload that you've experienced?
Definitely make friends in the classes that you have so you can talk to them outside of class and then have help on homework, and then also get to know your professors, because like being able to have that connection with them outside of class makes actual class time less intimidating, because they're like your friend
Right.
and you can always like go for them for help.
Awesome. Okay, now I think that's all that I have to ask. Thank you for agreeing to come on my show today.
Yeah.
Be sure to go check out Skyler's Spanish skit. I'm kind of excited to go watch that. Go watch that in Houston Hall on Wednesday, November 15th at 6 p.m. And you can see the gossip at the hair salon all for yourself. Skyler, thank you for agreeing to come on my show this week. It was awesome to talk to you about your journey, and safe travels when you go to Spain this summer. I can't wait to hear all about it. Why stop now? The story is just getting started.